Good afternoon, everyone. Today we're going to make this heart card. We actually made one of these in one of my live streams. I'll show it to you in just a minute. But I wanted to do a standalone video so you didn't have to wade through the live stream to find it. This card opens up. It's sort of like a pop-up or a fold-out. And we have made cards like this before, but just not in a heart shape. Or we have made pop-outs like this before. Barbara Clark sent me this beautiful one in the mail, and this is what started it. She used a double-sided cardstock, from what I can tell. I didn't have any double-sided cardstock, sorry. So I worked with a single-sided cardstock, and I'll show you how to do that. When we made the one in my live stream, I took 2 sheets of scrapbook paper and glued them together before I started, so that I ended up with a double-sided. So this is a fun card. You can make it lots of different sizes, and I hope you will enjoy this video. Let's get started. Good afternoon, everyone. I want to show you the different sizes that we can make. Today I'm going to work with an 8.5 inch square. An 8.5 inch square makes a card this big. That, as I said, we worked with these pop-up heart cards on one of my live streams, and I wanted to just make an actual video of how it's done. This was a card sent to me by the lovely sweet Barbara Clark, and it's gorgeous, and that's what spurred all this. This is the one I made in my live stream, and what I did for this one was I used 2 layers of paper, not cardstock, and because I didn't have any double-sided cardstock. So I don't have any double-sided cardstock today, but I'm going to make a card that is this 8.5 inch square size because it will fit in most envelopes. That's the reason. It will fit in it like an invitation envelope. You have to have a square. It doesn't really matter which size that you make. They all have to have a square. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to fold our square in half this way. Bone folder is nice, but if you don't have a bone folder, because I'm not sure where I laid mine, just use the handle of your scissors. But then you're going to open this and fold it in half the other way. I'm hoping you can see this real well. Okay, so now we have 2 lines on the straight seams. Now what we need is a corner to corner fold, but what we want to do is these 2 folds are towards this side. What we want to do is flip this over, and we want to put our corner fold so that it's facing the other side. It will make our card pop up very nice and easily. And this is cardstock. It's just a single-sided cardstock. So I'm going to have to do a little decorating to make it. Okay. Now, when I take my fingers and I'm going to put them right here in the middle, and I'm going to pop this up. And when you pop that up and you take the 2 squares that don't have any folds in them, it will fold down just like so. Okay? And like I said, we want to have some nice creased lines, so Don't be afraid. Okay. Now, this line right here, that's the center line. And if you have to draw a pencil, I'm probably going to do it back here. Now, I had a pencil right here. Where'd it go? Oh, it went over on my table. We need a straight edge. Okay, from this point to that point. But what I'm really going to do is, what I really want is I want a line in the center, right about here. Because then I'm going to grab anything that's round, that's about the right size. We need to make some nice arcs from this center line to this edge, and from that center line to this edge. I'm just going to grab my little bottle of stuff. I'm going to find my line right there. See, and I just have this nice rounded shape. And I'm going to put it in the same place and intersect it until it gets over to this line. Now you can see that I have created my heart shape just by using any circle. Anything that's a circle. And I can take my scissors and cut my heart. Okay, and I have a little bit of a pencil line over here, so I think we'll get rid of it. And now, since I don't have double-sided paper, what I'm going to do to give it a little bit of an antique-y look kind of thing, I am going to cover it with this piece of pattern paper. And I'm just going to use some Mod Podge to do that. You could use a napkin, and a complete napkin. I'm going to layer some more napkin on this in a little while, so I didn't want a whole napkin on it. Like I said, if you had double-sided cardstock, you wouldn't have to do this step. I just didn't have any. And if it wrinkles, I don't mind. That's just me. I don't care about the wrinkles. I kind of like them. That may be a lot of Mod Podge. actually wasn't as much as I thought. Okay, so now we need to let this dry, and while we're letting it dry, I'm going to cut out some of these little roses to use on the card. I'm going to gather up some other little odds and ends, so I will be back when I have all those things ready. So that layer is about dry. It's not totally dry, and that's fine. I'm okay with that. If I had thought, I would have put this on with glue stick, and that way you wouldn't have had to wait to watch this part. I'm just going to trim this off. And then we'll get to decorating it. Okay, I want to use some of this napkin, and you know that we have to remove the extra layers of napkin when we have them. And I'm pretty sure there's another one in there. Now when I want to cut a napkin or tear it so that I can use it as a layer, what I like to do is use a water brush And then just tear it. And what I'm going to do now is to just use the glue stick from now on. I do want to remember which way's up, which way's the front. I'm going to use this as my front. So this is up. And I'm gonna get this like so. Okay. Now I have some little butterflies. These are just images that have been stamped on tissue paper. They actually were stamped on pattern paper, just like the pattern paper I laid down in the first place. That one. Now, when I go to use these have been cut from cardstock. They're actually from the same paper pad that we're using right here. And one of the things I want to remember when I use them is that they are a little stiffer. I want to use a different adhesive. Glue stick's not going to work. Mod Podge would work, but I'm just going to use my mono aqua glue. I also need to remember where things fold, because if this doesn't fold correctly, then things are not going to go, it's not going to fold up like a card. Excuse me just a minute. I'm sorry, I know that heaters are a little bit distracting. Anyways, the other thing I might want to do is to ink these before I put them on. They're going to be like my little embellishments. And since we're running with a vintage theme, I'm going to ink things with vintage photo. It will just kind of make it blend towards the background. I may put some music paper on first. I'll have to trim that off a little bit later. Oh, I wish I had inked that before I put it on there. After I told you I was going to ink, I forgot. Okay. This time we'll ink this piece. And I'm going to ink this. Let's cut this piece off right here. Okay. I have some little hearts that I cut from the scraps of this that I'm going to use to create some more little embellishments. if you haven't noticed, I'm avoiding the fold lines. When I put my embellishments on, I am thinking about where they are. Okay. And it's still quite damp, so it's going to take a little bit to finish up. I want to put on maybe one more. I think I want more of a medium-sized embellishment. Nope, just a little one. Big one's too big. Oh, here. How about this one? I like this one better. Yep. Okay. Next thing we need to do is ink around the edges. Okay, now I know I have a whole little pile of dragonflies in here. There's one. This is just a little too blank right in here, and I just want to decorate it up just a little bit right there. Now down here, I figured that it's a card. I want something to write on, so that's... Okay. Now, before I decorate the outside, I'm going to have to let this dry. So I'll be back in just a little bit. So the inside of our card is all finished up and dry. We can now fold it up, which is helpful. I will tell you that some of the folds need a little reinforcing because we have added some layers to them, so you want to refold them just a little bit, making sure that you get them well burnished. And then we're going to finish up the front of our card. But the first thing I want to do is actually open it back up and use our ink and ink all of the edges. We've worked with a vintage theme and we want to continue that. So I'm just going to ink all the way around the outside. Okay. Now, the other thing we want to do is ink down along these fold lines. And they are a little bit harder to ink just because we kind of have to open it like this and hold it and ink along them. It just gives us a nicer look. Okay, now I have some embellishments that I'm going to put on the front, and I am inked around all of them in the inside, or at least most of them. So I'm going to do that. This also makes the embellishments stand off the page a little bit. Stay down. Okay, we're just going to ink this up a little bit. We're almost finished with this project. Now, I made this with an 8.5-inch square. Because of that, what's called an invitation envelope will fit it. And it will mail pretty much for a regular stamp. Unless it's gotten very heavy. And I'm just using the aqua glue this time. I'm not going to try to Mod Podge it on there. I think it will be fine with this glue. There we go. And we're all finished up. Now you could put a different sentiment on the front if you wanted, or anything you want to do with it. But the point was to show you how to make this fold out, pop up sort of heart card from a square of cardstock. Now we're all finished up for the day. So I'm going to read you a quote from our 1001 Ways to Creativity and find out what my next chore has to be for the day. Only passions, and great passions, can raise the soul to great things. Without them, there is no sublimity, either in morals or in creativity. Art returns to infancy and virtue becomes small-minded. Dennis Diderot. Interesting. Okay, guys. Go have fun. Make some art. Bye-bye.